Welcome to the Midnight Matinee with your host and hostess, Robert and Angie Curtis.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Midnight Matinee. We're following our series of Halloween possession movies. We did 31 days of Halloween movies, and this one was number 10.
Number 10.
It's the Last Exorcism.
Came out in 2010.
Yep.
Back in the era of the found footage.
Yeah.
And this was a found footage movie.
Right. It's kind of like both. It's like a found footage movie and a kind of a mockumentary kind of thing, because the film crew is following the pastor and the disillusioned pastor in this story, and then he is going to go do this exorcism, so they tag along. And it's going to be his last exorcism because he's kind of lost his faith and he's lost his what do you call it? Like his zeal to be a evangelist. So he's swearing it off, and then this is his one last thing that he's gonna do.
So yeah, they're kind of following him around with a camera crew. It's a lot of almost shaky camera.
Yeah.
Just kind of like seeing what he's doing. You know, he's out in the yard.
Yeah.
And basically they go to this farm in Louisiana with a young girl, a brother, and the father. And the mother had passed away a couple years before.
Right. The father thinks that the little girl is possessed by a demon, and this pastor is going to go there and do his shtick. Because his thing is that even though he knows the exorcism is bogus, that it still has a placebo effect for the people, so that's why he does it, even though he's kind of lost his faith. Like, he's not 100% lost his faith, but I think he's lost his faith in evangelism. Like, he doesn't believe in that, that form of Christianity anymore. He wants to be just like a regular dad.
Well, he comes across as like one of those hey!
Yeah, right.
I'm laying hands on you.
Right, he was one of those people. And he got into that because his father thought he had a gift for it. So his father groomed him to be the big, televangelist guy. And then at a young age, he started doing it, and then he got caught up into that world, and people would travel from all over the state to come and hear his sermons. So that's why he became, this big evangelist preacher. And then when his son got sick, he realized that he couldn't pray it away. He had to go to the hospital.
It was a real test of his faith.
Right.
And
he failed.
His faith failed.
Right.
Which,
yeah.
We won't go into that in this.
Yeah, but that's the premise of this. So he's kind of doubting anyway, and then he takes on this, and he thinks that he's just going to go in there and do his shtick and have his little special effects, and then they're going to, the girl's going to snap out of it, and then everything's going to be back to normal.
Well, he thinks that she's just got some kind of mental illness.
Right.
Which he's trying to help. And the dog is barking.
Right.
I don't know where that train of thought went. The train has derailed.
So, basically, he performs the exorcism, and he has a cross that has like a flashy thing in it, and he can push a button and it shoots like a flame out of it, and he has a whole thing he does with
a lot of theatrics
with wires and little sleight of hand type things. So there's a lot of that going on, and through the course of that, the girl has a real episode, and then he has to take her to the hospital, basically, and then the dad comes and he's like, no, we don't want to go to the hospital, we want the exorcism, right? So there's the rub. Our channel is full of spoilers, so if you're watching this, and honestly, this movie came out in 2010, so if you had seen it by now, you're not going to see it, you know what I mean?
I mean, it had a lot of hijinks, and I hate the fact, that it just relays to those people who fake evidence, or, stuff like that, too.
Yeah, on the Paranormal channel, we talk about this all the time. There's the people who, they couldn't care less about the paranormal, or in this case, religion. They want the circus that comes with it. They want that thrall, you know, the people cheering their name. They don't care about science. They don't care about religion.
They want, oh my God!
Yeah, they want that. They want that accolade. They don't care about reality, right? They want to manufacture this whole thing. So that's kind of what's going on here. And this movie, the way it's filmed, like you said, it's a found footage type film because, you know, everyone's wiped out in the end. And then it's also kind of a mockumentary setup because they're following him along, so it has both of the genres that are really tired right now.
Yeah.
You know, so, and this is from 2010, so it's in the peak of the shaky camera, you know, thing where that was still hip. So you got to kind of give it a little bit of, you know, we haven't had the Lost and, what's the one with the red, the guy?
Oh, you're talking about the
Blacklist.
The Blacklist.
Yeah,
yes.
we haven't had our eyeballs bludgeoned with the shaky camera to the point where you just want to turn the TV off at that point. It was still...
It's funny how they get into that thing, like you got your... First you have the shaky camera, and then you have like the weird low light, weird out of focus sometimes, and then you got the... It's like people go through phases of, oh, that's cool, yeah.
That's the reason why I stopped watching Lost. Honestly, because
I never watched Lost.
I couldn't stand the snap focus and the shaky camera and the constantly being out of breath. It was just like, I know there's a story in here somewhere, and I feel like, honestly, the best way to watch Lost is like to watch every 5th episode, because there's entire episodes where they just filmed people talking around a fire or something, and it's just snip, throw that in the garbage.
I remember we actually got caught up in the whole Blair Witch thing. Like, you know, somebody at my sister's work, an intern, was like, "Hey, have you seen this footage on the internet?" and kind of shared it to us. So we actually went opening night to see that, you know, and we wanted to be sure we had nothing, you know, whatsoever. We heard nothing. We went in, and that shaky camera made me feel ill. Yeah. Like, I'm sitting there going, "Oh, this is not." Right. I sat through the whole movie, but at the same point, you know, I was like, I wanted this whole experience.
Well, when I was still living in SoCal when that first came out, when the first lead up to it, and there was a lot of stuff that they'd leaked out on the internet, and they had they made like a fake county website for like news releases, and they had like a fake Internet Archive website set up where they had like the tapes, and you could play the videos on the thing like it was real evidence that was leaked out. And they did a good job with that, because it made you feel like it might have been real. But then, like I said, right.
Because it had guerrilla marketing on it.
Like, kind of like The Ring did.
The Ring was another one where we went in and we're like, oh, and then it was like... Yeah. I mean, there were people coming out on the night we went to see The Ring was like, oh my God, that's the scariest thing we've ever seen. And I'm just like, okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then they came out with a host of other movies where... Yeah, with the hair in your face. What is that girl? Nezuko, was that what her name was? I can't remember. I forget what her name was. But anyways, sidebar. Sidebar, rabbit hole. That's where this movie fits in that genre, where it's a found footage, it's a shaky camera, the cameras are terrible, which is funny because there's a lot of parts in this where you see the camera person setting up the camera, and it's a really nice camera, and the sound lady has like a great big like sound, recorder, like a DAT, digital audio tape recorder, and the sound is bad in this. It's always like a little bit too much or too blown out in a lot of scenes where, like, if she was really recording it with the boom, you know what I mean, you wouldn't even hear the person that's talking, because the mic only picks up a short distance away from it, so you have to be in the scene with the boom, holding it where the person's talking. And if it's the guy talking and then he's talking to somebody who's 20 feet away, you're not going to hear that other person unless they're mic'd up. So I mean, it didn't require a whole lot on special effects. I do think that the actress that played Nell, the possessed little girl, and they said she had the flexibility, so she was very articulated. Yeah, what do they call that?
disorder or whatever.
I mean, she was able to,
she
like,
has, like,
turn her neck,
Yeah.
and, I mean, it was, like, disturbing.
That actress goes full out in this role. There's a scene where...
Ashley Bell, I think, yeah, that's her name.
Where she says, it's in my skin, and this isn't my skin, and she grabs, like, her forearm and, like, pulls her skin out, like, ugh.
Yeah.
And she pops her neck, and, like, the vein, like, sticks out in the side of her neck.
Oh, I know. And she was at a weird angle,
Yeah.
and she's doing all this, like,
yeah, it
unnatural.
It pays off. Those are all practical effects in this too.
I give her props for that. Yeah,
the CGI budget for this movie was all blown out in the last 10 minutes of the movie. Like they used
a lot
more...
of people don't like the ending because they thought
Right.
it was going along this, and then there was like it was too much. A lot of people thought it was too much of a wrong
Left
turn
turn.
or
I
left
thought
turn
that
or
too.
whatever. Like, where did this all come from?
Right,
'Cause
right.
You thought they thought it was going,
We're going
and it was
this way, and then all of a sudden...
well, it's once again the twist.
Right. It's in that era where every horror movie had to have a twist in it, and it does. And it doesn't pay off, in my opinion. The ending is good, but it's not this movie. You know what I mean? Like, if you had a different movie with a different setup in it, and then you could have this end. This ending is kind of like a Rosemary's Baby kind of thing, where... You're thinking it's BS through the whole thing. Even like we were talking about the blowing job. The demon says to the guy when it's possessing the girl that if it's going to give him a blowing job, and that's when he's like, wait a minute now, because like this
That's immature,
right?
Like someone who was a real demon would know the real name.
Yeah, a eons old demon is going to know the real name of sex acts, right? But a 16-year-old homeschooled girl wouldn't.
Sheltered, yeah.
Right, so that's why he's like, no, let's back up. This is bogus, right? And then, as the viewer of this, you're in the same thing. You're like, wait a minute now what are we doing? And then it goes, and then the ending happens, and you're like, so it really was a demon this whole time? Like,
Was it a demon?
what are we doing? Like, how did 1 + 1 equal 14 in this? Like, how did we get here? You know?
They kind of played that family as a little bit, like, the stereotypical Hoosier, redneck, or hillbilly, or whatever you call
kind
them.
of family.
Yeah.
And they hit all the stereotypes.
I guess they were in Louisiana, though, so
Yeah.
I don't know what they would call them down there, but...
I don't know what they are.
Wouldn't be, I don't know, Creole, or... No, that's something. That's a... No.
I don't know. Hillbillies down there is basically what they're portrayed at. They live off the grid in a big 2-story house that's miles down a dirt road to get there. There's one what do they call it? 2-track dirt road where you have to pull over to let somebody else come the other way.
Yeah.
Type of dirt road. And
Well, it starts off kind of crazy because they're looking, they're like, is this the right road? And then they come upon that kid,
Right.
a ginger,
the son, right?
the son, and he's like, can you give us, can we find is it the Sweetie, something like that,
Yeah.
farm? And he's like, well, and then he's like, and you can go back the hell you, well,
Yeah,
you
he
came.
tells him, he's like, you go up here and make a U-turn, and then go back down this road that you came in on, basically.
Like you told him to get the
tell
hell
him
out.
to get lost, right?
And I was like, that was a shocker to me.
Yeah, it
'cause,
was too, because you're like...
It was like, okay, that sets the tone.
Right, and then he follows him back to the house because he's the son of the guy. So then the guy's like, hey, your son was very rude to us up the road, and the guy's like, oh, no, he's just a dummy, But then you're like, well, wait a minute, like, what is going on with this family, Because, like, the father is played straight through the entire thing. Like, this is a joyless, no BS type character. Like, he does not break through this entire thing. And
So you think he truly believes that his daughter is afflicted?
Right.
There's something, it's not mental illness, that she's
Right,
truly
that she has a demon.
possessed by a demon.
Right. And, you know, through the course of the exorcism, he basically breaks out the shotgun, and he's like, you're either going to cure the demon out of her, or I'm going to blow her head off with the shotgun, because one way or the other, this ends now, right?
Yeah.
So then the pastor's like caught in the middle, because he's like, well, I don't believe that she's really possessed, but she's hamming it up good enough that I can't convince her to stop doing it. You know what I'm saying? So that's his whole thing. Like, he can't convince her to stop pretending to be possessed. Then the dad's gonna shoot her with the shotgun, basically. So it's like he's caught between a rock and a hard place. And
well,
then,
it kept me going back and forth.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, is this mental illness or is this a real demonic? It kind of keeps you guessing,
Yeah.
which keeps you interested. I mean, we didn't turn it off, obviously. It wasn't one of those where we're like, we're done with this.
Well, it's like we said, the actress that plays the possessed girl is fantastic in this.
Yeah.
Because she plays the innocent, you know, backwater, homeschooled girl to a T.
Yeah.
And she's awkward and
But she comes across as sweet, and then there's this
innocent
whole other side.
And then when she's possessed by the demon, then she's all over the top, you know.
And you're like sitting here going, is this all an act? Or is this mental illness? Does she got multiple personalities? Or whatever they call multiple personalities this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then like I say, I don't want to ruin the ending for you, because it is a good ending. Like I say, it's just not for this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you made a whole different movie and it had this ending, the ending would be fabulous, because it has that. One of my favorite things about this genre is where you have bad filming, you have bad sound, you have bad acting, you have everything through the whole thing, and then you have Hollywood tier special effects. It really pays off. You know what I mean? And that's what they did in this movie. So like the whole beginning of it, you're kind of like, man, this looks like somebody filmed this on a potato. You know, like it looks terrible. There's a lot of scenes where it's out of focus, and you're like, does the guy not know how to find the focus ring? You know, because he like punches in on like the father and doesn't focus at the same time, you know what I mean? So it like punches out of focus, and then it's like zoomed in on like some paint, and then like comes back and then gets focus, you know. So you're like, is this?
They want that gritty realism.
Right. And the whole idea of that through the movie is that that becomes your baseline for how they film, so that when you see the ending and it's not shaky and it's not, you know, crappy Hollywood, you know, or not Hollywood, crappy B-movie kind of filming, it kind of takes you out of it for a minute. You're like, wow, look at this now. You know, like we've been dealing with, you know, these like home video type shenanigans, and then now there's this spectacle of this, you know, demon at the end. You're like, whoa, all right then. And it kind of takes you out of it, and then it goes to the actual ending, and then it's back into a found footage movie.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, wow, credits.
Didn't pay off.
Because it's like, it's really good, and then it has this out of place ending, and then it goes right back to the found footage, and then credits. And then you're like, wow, well, that's unfortunate. And then as you're watching it on the thing, it pops up a little window, and it says, would you like to watch The Last Exorcism 2? You're like,
there's another story.
What just happened? Like, they killed everyone. There's no one left at the end of the movie.
Just spoiled the movie.
You're gonna have a 2. Like what?
Well, maybe a 2 exists.
What?
Maybe it's an alternate reality. Okay, reel it back.
Coming back around.
Coming back around. Okay, so we're gonna put up our fancy rating system.
Yeah, the rating system. You guys know.
Yeah.
There it is.
So I think we decided that this one is going to fall into the blood-curdling category, which is our middle tier.
Right.
Thrilling enough to make you look over your shoulder, but not quite enough to keep you up at night. Solid, but not sinister.
Yeah. And that's what I would say. It's almost nightmare fuel. In my opinion, take the budget that you had for the ending, right? Absorb that back into the production, and make some little special effects through the entire thing, so that it kind of has a payoff at the end. You know what I mean? And then you can just do the found footage ending, and it's done. You know what I mean? But to save all the special effects for the last 10 minutes of the movie, it just doesn't pay off. You know what I mean? Like, we could have CGI'd a little bit more demon-y into the little girl and done, you know what I mean? She's a fantastic actress, don't get me wrong. Like, she is super flexible, and all the stuff she does is really off-putting. But you could have added a little schmantering of...
Pea soup?
Yeah, like some kind of something. Just give us something. Like, you know, the...
like the coal, like they did in The Exorcist.
Yeah.
You see
like,
that.
Yeah,
just
like,
a little bit of a hint that, is this real?
Is it something a little more sinister than what we've been led to believe? You know what I mean? Because there is a scene in here where you have that kind of doubt, right? Where you're like, oh, man, this could be a real demon, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then they kind of do the whole, you know, the blowing job thing, and then we come right back to it again. So you're kind of, but like I say, if
it keeps you guessing.
If they could have put a little bit throughout and made it more of a demonic thing, and another. Not to get too far in the weeds about it, but the whole demonic possession thing is a Catholic thing.
Well, how did they ever say how she got it? I don't remember the movie. If they said, if they're homeschooled. Oh, okay. Because I was like, if they're so like remote and she's homeschooled and whatnot, how did this happen? Especially down in Louisiana.
And they try to play it off like the dad anyway is like a Pentecost, you know. So it just doesn't jibe. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole exorcism thing isn't like a televangelist type thing. It's a Catholic thing. So these people aren't Catholics. So.
Yeah, that's right. Because they would be like a Southern Baptist, right? Or Pentecostal. Yeah. I don't know all of my religions in the South.
So there's that. You know, like if
I never thought about that. Do they do exorcisms?
I don't think so. I think they do cleansing.
I always thought of cleansing too. Once again, was a Catholic thing. That's a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah.
But
so there it is. Yeah. I liked it, but I like I said, I wouldn't watch it again. You know, I got it the first time. If I did watch it, I'd rewatch it from like the last 15 minutes.
I felt like that was the second time we watched it. For some reason, I felt like I had seen it before.
You might have seen it before.
And when he's gone, I'll sometimes pop on if it isn't some kind of crime drama from Britain or some kind of Hallmark, which he hates. You know, I'm throwing on a horror movie that I haven't seen. He'll even watch Shudder on days when I'm working. Kate, my poor dog is like, ah. But.
Yeah.
Anyways, is there anything coming up? I was thinking, I was looking at, it looks like that movie, The Monkey, which I'm kind of excited about.
Yeah, that looks good.
It looks like it comes out on February 9th, I think, or 8th, something like that.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town that week.
Yeah.
But Valentine's Day, I will be back. So maybe we can go that weekend, catch a horror movie, have some dinner, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And go over there and see the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Oh, you want to go to TGI Fridays? Yeah. I really liked where we went for dinner that night. The other place,
Three Kings.
Yeah, we went to this place, Three Kings, and we had fish and chips.
Yeah. There was no George Clooney. I was sad.
Oh, well, what were the Three Kings?
Ice Cube. Ice Cube, George Clooney, and what's his name?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I was talking about
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there were Three Kings on the wall there. There was Elvis. Louis the one of the king.
Yeah, Louis the 14th or something like that.
The 14th, and there was a third one. I can't remember.
Harambe.
Oh, was it Harambe?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny.
But I think that in this situation, they were pretending it was King Kong.
Oh.
But the picture was Harambe. So.
That's right. It was a gorilla. That's right.
Right.
But yeah. So yeah. And I got a shout out. I pre-ordered from Nerdforge. We're big cosplayer people too.
Yeah.
And they make stuff that I absolutely love, and they had a thing for a sweatshirt and sweatpants outfit. So I got it today. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So yeah, support other creators.
Yeah. And especially us. So like and follow, click the bell.
Dad asked me
to get notified whenever we come out with a new video.
Dad asked, "What is like, follow, and share?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it, Dad. Just like it. That's fine."
Yeah, that's all that matters.
And I'm going to see about getting him. He has got some ghost stories from the house that my stepmother lived in. She grew up there. Her grandparents lived there, I believe.
Nice.
So they don't own it anymore, but they had some strange happenings back in the day. So we'll see.
All right. So we're going to do that on the other channel.
Oh, that's right.
So
sorry, not our channel.
This is the movies. We watch the movies.
Go watch the other channel. They do real paranormal stuff. We do movies here, real paranormal.
Yep. And maybe we're thinking of branching out into a video game channel, but we don't know. That's Todd's idea. So. All right, everybody.
We'll see you.
We'll see you next time
at the Midnight Matinee and Q Todd. Bye.
You've been watching the Midnight Matinee, brought to you by the Veritas Project. So when the clock strikes 12, grab your tickets for the next episode of the Midnight Matinee.